Hello, and welcome everyone. Today we have an open topic, but I prepared some thoughts and ideas that we can also share and discuss, and I expect it to take just a few minutes, maybe a little more. Say hi in the chat and ask your questions, and I will try to answer them. And uh, first thing that I would like to discuss. Actually, it's not very exhaustive in any way. It's just some overview thoughts that I would like to share with you. I spent a lot of time this year working on Geeks home project and contributed some parts of it in Geeks and also some other stuff. And I like to see how this distribution develops. First of all, I found a Nix and Nixos project to be very appealing, but have some downsides that I already discussed in a few previous streams. And later I switched to GNU Guix package manager and Geeks system, and I quite enjoy it. It's has a strict policy on free software, but you can still use some proprietary solutions if you really need them. So in most cases, I'm very sure that everything that I install from Geeks repository is not a spyware, respect my privacy, and available as a source code, so I can explore and extend it. And everything bootstrapped, so I have a full chain of packages which I can not only trust but also can modify in the way I really want. And I like to see how it gains popularity. I can't show you some numbers. I just see how a number of people in different chats growing, more people asking questions in mailing lists or messengers, and also some hashtags in some social networks like Mastodon more more often appears and pop-ups, and that's quite good, and I quite like to see how it grows. And Alexander, hello. And the question, can we use org file to configure Geeks system like just like with Emacs? Sure, we can. You can do the same thing. You can create code blocks with your scheme code, and after that you can tangle those scheme files to the actual SCM files, and after that compile it with Geeks system reconfigure, for example. I don't think that it's applicable in all cases, but for some people, literate approach for configuring their system may be quite appealing, and don't fear to try it. I prefer to keep my SCM files to be plain because I have a lot of code and it's a little easier to navigate using some basic tools and not switch between org and SCM buffers back and forth, but it really can work. Hi, Dmitry. How are you doing? Also, I see how Geeks improves over the last maybe 2 years. It's a radical change since my first attempts to use it. And at the first, I was lacking a lot of packages. Some things was hard to configure or hard to find, and something was broken. But after 1.0 release, much more things stabilized, and a lot of packages that I was missing previously appeared. And now I use it as my daily driver for more for 4 year for the whole year, and I don't have any significant problems that I can't solve, and I see that it improved over this year. For example, here I have a link to the article called "The Big Change." Oops, it's opened on the different display. Okay, I will copy it here. The Big Change explores one refactoring which happened just a few weeks ago, and it shows how maintainers of Geeks tries to keep the source of the project to be clean, maintainable, and it's really nice to see such a change in already pretty big project. And you can see that the number of packages grows, number of contributors also grows, and you can see on Repository that Geeks already at top 10 probably package managers by the number of packages, and it doesn't count some external repositories which also may contain a lot of packages. Yep, that's pretty much it that I wanted to highlight. Actually, it's much more happening to Geeks, and I recommend you to follow mailing lists to see how it develops and what appears in it. A lot of really cool features supporting for different platforms and so on appears, but it's too much to discuss in a few minutes, so I will keep it to you, and I hope you will find those interesting topics yourself. Maybe later in Mastodon or some following streams I will highlight interesting to me topics, but not today. And plans and wishes for Geeks and Geeks Home projects. First of all, I would like to finish Geeks Home service type, which allows to integrate Geeks Home and Geeks System, and use Geeks System reconfigure to also apply home environments to users. It's very useful when you're generating, for example, ISO or deploy a system to a remote host and don't want the remote host to use the internet. For example, you build the system locally, and after that you deploy it to the host, and everything, including home environment, is already there and present just after you deploy the system. And also, I would like to upstream most services from and move them from RD project to Geeks. It will make it easier to use them, because you don't need to add external channel, and also it will be available for more people who just starting using Geeks without using RD. There's some work happening in this direction. For example, we are working on a discussion of guideline for writing services, and after we finish it, I think it will be relatively easy to refactor existing home services to the changes from the guideline and to upstream them. Also, I would like to see some changes in channel mechanisms, because there are some issues. For example, you have to keep your channel in sync with another channel to make people use your channel, but sometimes it's okay that your channel depends on the previous version of some other channel, and you would like to express such dependencies and use your channel source code with the different version of Geeks channel, for example, and so on. So I would like to see something like flakes for Geeks, and maybe I will have time to implement or to experiment with it. And of course, I would like to see some improvements in Geeks pool. because sometimes I want to update only one channel, for example, and keep the other to the same version as they right now, and so on. Tikakutli. Oh, it's hard to pronounce. Hello. Yo, Dmitry, it's a little pity that you have a headache. I hope you will feel yourself better soon. I'm glad to hear that. Well, otherwise, it's good. Good. Okay. Let's continue with this list. Actually, we are talking already for 10 minutes. I expected to finish the stream in 15 minutes, but I still talking. I have to be more more precise on the topic and more. I don't forget. I don't remember the word which means speak less, but provide more information and knowledge. But I can't do that yet. We'll be improving. Okay. Anyway, if you have some other questions about RD, Geeks, or Emacs, please ask them, or maybe some other topics not related to the one I mentioned just now. More Geeks deploy in my life, so I will manage almost all my devices and servers with Geeks. It will be cool, and also I would like to switch from some cloud services to self-hosted alternatives, and I would like to share the migration path and maybe some tips, tricks, and configurations with you. And also I would like to see a better RISC-V and ARM support to have a more energy efficient hardware, more open hardware, which you can use in your laptops or maybe home servers and so on. And it would be cool if Geeks will be a pioneer in this field and one of the GNU Linux distributions which started to support those such architectures earlier. I already saw some work in mailing lists about RISC-V, but I don't have such hardware yet. I hope it will appear in the next year too, so we all can try it and work with it. Maybe port some already existing projects, maybe create new one. Lux asks if it's possible to install Geeks on Raspberry Pi 4. Hello, Lucas. The answer is yes. The more detailed answer is it requires some work for now. I saw in the mailing list that read about installing Geeks on Raspberry Pi, and it has some patches, and I saw that someone successfully did it. Actually, I have probably I have a Raspberry Pi in my office, so I will try next year, maybe in February, to make a stream on this topic, and I will show how to do it. I hope to the moment I will start to work on it, it will be in a relatively good state and won't require too much time and effort to implement. So yep, it definitely possibly, but maybe right now not so easy. But I hope in the next few months it will be much easier. Okay, next point about participation in Geeks project. I worked on Geeks Home in a separate repository, and I don't read mailing lists too often, Geeks mailing lists too often, so I am a little separated from the Geeks project and don't contribute too much to it. Sometimes I send some patches, some fixes or updating packages, but nothing really big or interesting. So maybe next year I will participate a little more in Geeks development, and will work on some interesting features, like, for example, channels, Geeks deploy or Geeks pull commands, maybe something else. And another wish that I wrote today is decentralized substitutes distribution. There is a mailing list thread discussing the implementation, and there are a few patches. So some work already done in this direction. There is another thread which dates 2 years ago about similar feature. So some people trying to achieve it, and I hope next year we will not only see some patches in the mailing list, but also will be able to use it, because it will be more widespread and adapted. And it will be really cool, because we already have the all infrastructure for the Geeks to be decentralized. We have Git repositories, which are by design decentralized. You don't have to have a centralized server. You always have your local copy, and you can exchange changes without using some central service, using mailing lists. And emails is another federated system which doesn't require the usage of one central server. And the only thing that we are lacking is substitutes over IPFS or some other distributed file system. So we won't need substitute servers to be available to get those substitutes. And I hope that such functionality will appear soon and will be adopted. Okay, that's it for Geeks. It's not comprehensive, but just some thoughts that I had in my mind today. So I wrote them down and present to you. Another thing that I work is RD project, and for now it's saying GNU Linux operating system or distribution. You already can use it, but it's still in early stages of development. I use it as my daily driver. It's a project on top of Geeks system and Geeks home, which provide you some opinionated software distribution. It's already have pre-configured Emacs, window manager, and some stuff for media like Pipewire, Wireplumber, and so on. It has different packages configured for Emacs, so you have already applications for managing your emails, for chatting, for working on source code, and knowledge base, and so on. All those applications implemented, most of all of those applications implemented in Emacs Lisp and available through Emacs, but it's still applications which you may use on a daily basis. And for now, my needs in such applications is pretty small, but I expand the list of available features in RD, so some applications I don't use also will be available for other users. And actually, I'm not the only person who work on them. From time to time, people contribute by requesting features or proposing patches. So when someone needs something, it's getting implemented by me or by other people, and I would like to thank them because it's really nice to see that people are involved in the project, and it's actually interesting to other people. Okay, let me take a sip. Of course, there some work happens, and there are some plans for the future. And one of the items that is already implemented is state management, but it was a dirty prototype. For now, I would like to rethink, rethink it and maybe re-implement and better integrate with RD. So you will have a declarative definition of your not only operating system and home environment, but also of your state, for example, secrets, contacts, emails, working repositories with source code, nodes, and so on. And you will be able to synchronize them with remote server using the state management mechanisms. And after that, I also want to write a manual which not only describe how to install RD and configure it. Actually, it's relatively easy and straightforward process. But also it will discuss some more philosophical questions like the approach you can use for exploring RD and the software which incorporated in it, how things works, how completion system implemented, how to integrate different tools inside Emacs and inside your system. For example, completion system works not only for commands in Emacs, but also for contacts, or maybe you would like to get a password for some account. You also can do it, and it will use the same completion system which used for the list of commands. And maybe you want to apply some actions using embark, which, for example, will be editing or copying the username for some particular service. And everything is related to each other and can be used one with another. So it creates a really powerful tools and doesn't require you to learn different workflows for different applications. You can use the same approach in source code editing or sending emails or chatting in the IRC. Lucas asks, do I know maybe if Podman will be added to Geeks repository? Actually, I don't know. As I said, I don't watch Geeks mailing lists too often, so I'm not aware of all things that happening in them. I just sometimes search keywords that I'm interested in and see what happens with it. But actually, you can open your mail application and look for Podman and see that there some work happens. Actually, there are some patches related to Podman, and actually it's a third version of those patches. That means that some work already done on this topic, and it was just a week ago, so it's very likely that something will happen to Podman soon. It's very likely that this patch series will be merged soon, and you will be able to use Podman. Okay, the manual. Not only the description of some technical details, but also some ideas how to use system, how to use different components of Emacs and system together, and how to multiply your productivity by combining already existing mechanisms with each other. Everything, not everything, some of that will be described in the manual, and I hope it will really help to people become very productive with RD in a very small amount of time. And of course, we talked on previous stream about creating a live image. We already created one, and after the stream, I activated the home environment. Actually, I forgot that there is an activate script which can be run standalone without Geeks home utility, and I just activated it, and everything that was on my system was also was available on live image. But recently I had some problem with starting Sway in virtual machine. I will try to debug them, and after this Geeks home service type is implemented, probably I will create a live image that you can use to try out what is available in RD without installing it. And after manual and live image is ready, I think we will do a first release of RD project, and maybe we'll do some web page which you can use to find HTML version of manual and a link to download ISO image. And after that we will switch to work related to different programming languages. I plan to add RD features for different languages. So, for example, Rust or Haskell developers will be able to use RD for developing their projects, and also to use Geeks for managing development environments of such projects. Tika Kutli asks, could RD come to work with BTRFS blobs, or is it out of scope? Can you clarify the question? Actually, RD can do whatever basic GNU Linux distribution can do. So, in case there are some specific use case, it's possible to implement a feature which will be extending Geeks system or Geeks home, Geeks systems operating system record or Geeks home environment record and provide this functionality. But I still not sure what your use case is. But if you provide some examples, I will be able to answer more precisely. Anyway, if you will have some questions in the future, you can ask them in RD Discuss or RD Devil mailing lists. There are some links in the description, and also you can just open a list sourcehat/tilde_abcdw, and you will see those mailing lists, and just post a message here, and I or some other people who are subscribed to those mailing lists will answer to you. Okay, I plan to add a few features for different languages, and for some of them it will be just a few days of work. For some maybe much more, but I still think it will be very valuable for people who work as developers, because they will be able to get a pretty neat and tidy setup for their language in just a few keystrokes. Just enable the feature for their language and set up Geeks shell for their project, and that's it. They can work without any problems like incompatible versions of some project dependencies and ID plugins and so on. Everything that will be maintained in RD is reproducible and should be compatible and should work just fine. Maybe something will appear like bugs or incompatibilities, but they will be fixed relatively fast, and also you always can roll back to previous version, working version. It is actually the maybe one of the most important features. First of all, you declare what you need, and you get what you declared, and after that, if something broken or doesn't work, you just go back to the previous generation of your operating system or home environment, and everything is restored and work again until it will be fixed upstream. So you never will stuck in the situation where you can't continue work and you have to fight with your system. And I think it's pretty valuable. Okay, more everyday features and plenty of work on existing one. We already have my client configured and some other, actually a lot of different features for different purposes are already implemented in RD, and we continue growing the number of features available for different use cases, and improving existing one. And in the next year we will continue to work on them, of course. Half an hour. No, not so short stream as I expected. Maybe I need to become a politician, and because politicians like to talk a lot without providing a lot of value. I hope I provide some value to you, and maybe it's even interesting to hear what I say, to listen what I say. The last and third topic is general ideas or wishes. I would like to see. I already see how people continue to start to review some old but already existing technologies, how decentralization and topics like security and privacy becomes more important for even not very advanced users. And I hope that there will be more work dedicated to free and open standards, and the ecosystem will grow, and the integration between components will also become much better. So the first few things that I would like to see is a better Git and email integration. So it's more related to what I would like to implement myself. For example, taking a list of Git commits and creating a patch series, attaching this patch series to email. So the sending patches to, for example, Geeks patches mailing list will be just a few keystrokes from your Emacs client, and it will be really cool if you will get a very streamlined workflow and very polished tooling for it, because for now I have some plugins glued together which somehow works, but I prefer more manual work because it's much more robust for now, and I just attach patches to emails, or edit patch and convert it to email and send it. But I would like to automate this part and make it just as easy as typing few keystrokes. Alexander Gritson says, yes, please. Life would be so much better and reproducible. I hope so. Actually, one of the reasons I switched to Nix and Nixos originally was the reproducibility. I can trust my operating system that I always can get a working state, and I don't need to fight with it if something broken unexpectedly. And even more, if I switch to another hardware or to move to a different platform or something else, I will always have all the work that was done for my previous laptop, for my previous PC, or for my other server available to me, and it will work because it is reproducible. And GNU Guix going even further because of bootstrapability of all that stuff. The next work I see is happening related to IRC, done by Drew DeWalt. Probably it will increase the popularity and maybe increase the features available for IRC servers and clients. It's quite old protocol, but still usable, and actually for some cases it's very good. Actually, it's still used even in some relatively young software and even services. For example, Twitch TV, a streaming platform using IRC for their chat, and it's shows that this protocol used even by big corporations, not only by free software enthusiasts and some geeks from FreeBSD or Geeks project or somewhere else. IPFS, GNUnet, or some other implementation of distributed file system, as I already said, substitutes over IPFS or some other file system will be very good. But also, I would like to see something that will allow to do, for example, streaming and have stream recordings available over IPFS, so I don't need to rely on YouTube or some instance of PeerTube to be available to make people access the content that was created. And actually today the PeerTube instance I used was not available, so I stream only to YouTube right now. Some other work related to ActivityPub, Mastodon, PeerTube, and so on is also interesting to me. I don't think that I will be participating in it, but maybe I will keep an eye on it and we'll see how it goes. I would like to see the Git interface to SourceHot mailing list archives, so I will be able to pull all interesting mailing list from SourceHot and SourceHot instances without actually subscribing to mailing list, and I can do it incrementally. It will be very cool. Maybe I will need to work on it myself, maybe someone else will do it. So there is a public inbox .org which describes the tool which can be used for storing mailing list archives as Git repositories, and maybe a lot of work will be required to integrate it in SourceHot, but I hope it will happen next year. And that's again not comprehensive, but some thoughts that appeared in my mind just a few hours ago, and I wrote them down. What about Matrix instead of IRC? Alexander asks. IRC is a little bit hassle to set up. It's a good question, and also a good comment about a bit hassle to set up. Actually, with tooling like Geeks and RD, and especially RD, which is targeted to such things like Emacs and other applications and ecosystem from free software, it will be very easy to set up IRC. Actually, I can open my configuration and let's see. Everything that I need to have in my configuration is to set IRC NIC and servers and channels that I want to after join. And after that, everything in my Emacs client will be configured after I install or reconfigure my RD. And I can type Control C A. Oh, I don't have a shortcut for ERC here, but you can call ERC TLS command, and you will be connected to the server and also to the channels. There are some work required to make it more smooth and configuration a little more flexible. And as you can see, I didn't provide a hotkey, but everything is achievable, and because it's reproducible, everyone will benefit from it. And also, the next thing is that it's a little inconvenient to use IRC because you don't you can't read the message history and you need to skim through the logs of the channel. But if channel not logged, you won't see those messages at all. Yep, it's true, but there are IRC bouncers that allows you to stay connected, and you just your real IRC client will be connecting to IRC bouncer, which always connected to the server, and you will be able to retrieve the chat history that happened when you was away from keyboard or away from internet, and get back in the discussion in any moment is needed for you. And nice thing that with Geeks and RD, you will also able to have the setup of such a bouncer just a few comments away from you. You just say to what remote server you want to deploy your IRC bouncer and say to deploy it. It is related to what I said earlier about more Geeks deployed self-hosted. Many solutions which we use every day can be substituted with some self-hosted solutions, but for now it's quite tedious process to set a server, to set software on the server, to configure and maintain it. But if you have a distribution like RD with a declarative and reproducible configurations, you can just keep updating from time to time and call RD deploy to get everything set up and running on the remote service without actually caring too much about the setup process, because it will be just calling one command which will install everything for you. But yeah, maybe some parts of the IRC still a little inconvenient for some users, but maybe it will be solved by RD. Maybe not. We'll see how it works. And Matrix is a good probably a good alternative. I don't use Matrix personally, but as far as I know, it's quite a good program for the same purpose that you actually use IRC. I heard about some downsides and some privacy concerns, but overall it's a good alternative to some centralized services and much more robust and federated. Okay, about decentralized and free and open standards ecosystem. I think I said almost everything that I wanted today. One more one more item, and we will start to conclude our talk, and we'll probably finish our stream soon, just in a few minutes. I'm quite interested in programming languages and operating systems, so I would like to make a challenge. I don't know yet if I will do it or not. Just a thought on an idea. I would like to learn some languages which has a different paradigms and different properties from what I currently use or used previously. So I am more aware. I will become more aware of what is available in other languages, and will be more educated and can assess and discuss the implementations of other languages. And actually, after that, I would like to prototype my own language, and probably for a small toy operating system with file system which doesn't have files. I hope it won't have files, but it will be more like a database, and maybe a version control system on top of this file system for this small toy language in this small operating system. It's also just an idea. Maybe I will have time to do it, maybe not, but I would like to do it for the educational purpose and for better understanding of what happens on inside operating systems and inside languages and compilers, and also to get a broader vision of all the technologies involved in the our daily life, but which we don't actually see too often. That's it about ideas. I would like to say few words about people who somehow helped me through this year. And the first person is Shinlu Chen, which participated in Geeks Home development and contributed a lot of code ideas. And actually, he's a person who helped me to sustain the work on Geeks Home, because he joined on early stages after a few weeks of development probably, and actually it's motivated me that some other persons also participate in the project. I spent a lot of time reviewing his code, and he did a review of my code, discussed some ideas, and commented on some mailing threads, and I really enjoyed that he joined to the project, and I really enjoyed the work with him. Also, another person, and actually we doesn't interact too much with him, but his videos on YouTube and some posts and his Emacs configuration was quite inspiring. His approach to the free software and software in general, and approach to the life and learning was quite inspirational, and I enjoy seeing his work and his life developing, and this inspiration also affected how RDE develops. So I would like to thank him too. Of course, Ludovic, who made Geeks project possible, and also helped on Geeks Home and also other parts of the Geeks. Oleg, who participated in Geeks Home upstream process, he reviewed and merged the code and helped to become Geeks Home to become a part of GNU Guix. And Drew DeVolt, we also don't interact with him too much, but I see his work on SourceHut, his blog posts, and also it's inspirational, and it helps to use free software more and to avoid some proprietary and unnecessary harmful solutions. Yep, another inspiring person in this list. Actually, there's much more people who worked with me, who helped, who discussed some features, and many people who whose work become a part of RD, for example, and I really would like to thank every one of them. Yep, thank you so much. Keep this great work, and don't afraid to drop a comment, and I would like to have a discussion with you. Every such discussion creates an interesting ideas and overall an interesting experience. I see that there's no more questions, and I hope everyone who came today get the answers or enjoyed the talk. Quite long talk, not expected to talk too much today, but okay, don't afraid to do cool stuff. You can make someone's life better without even knowing it. Like the persons who are inspired or somehow affected my work on RD, even without knowing it. And that's it for today. See you in a bit. Bye.